Okay, here we go. Hey, everybody. Thanks for logging on and clicking on this podcast wherever you happen to be watching it, whether it's on Rumble or my YouTube channel or Facebook or Twitter or wherever I'm going to put this thing. I just want to make a quick word about YouTube. I have been pulled off of YouTube so many times that I don't know why I bother, but I think that I still bother uploading things there because it has such a big market share. Like, you just can't deny the power of YouTube. But right now, I think I have a laughable 800 followers or something there. So if you're watching this and you like what you see, if you don't mind just clicking on or going to my channel, Anita K, and subscribing. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers just to see if I can do it and see if it makes any difference in my life. I doubt it will. I'm always happy broadcasting on Rumble because I've never been censored, never had a video pulled or anything. It's been you know, a platform for expression for me, even more so than Twitter, because I think I was given a slap on the wrist when I said something kind of mean on Twitter. So yeah, not mean. I was making a horse joke about ivermectin, but and then I got a warning on Twitter. So yeah, indeed, we do censor ourselves these days. I don't want to. I don't want my children to grow up like that, but yet I'm doing it. We're all tiptoeing and dancing around until things change. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to someone I talked to last year. You might remember right after the Maui fires. We did some stories on the Maui fires, and then lo and behold, in British Columbia, we were having a very eerily similar situation go on in the Shuswap area, and also there was Okanagan fires too. But I did a focus more on the Shuswap and what was happening. People weren't being able to be let out. You couldn't get water out of the hydrants, and there were all kinds of restrictions and police everywhere, and it was like a giant insane mess up there with such frustration. And one of the women that I talked to that gave me like the most amazing interview, impromptu, over the phone, was a woman named Brenda Jackson. And she's backstage, if you will, right now. And we're going to bring her in because we want to revisit and we want to keep you up to date on what's going on up there. But before we do, let me just roll a clip from last year. And this is me talking to Brenda, and this is what she had to say last year.
When there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Okay.
He's 75 years old. He's the salt of the community.
Oh, yeah. I've seen so many people like that salt of the earth type of guys. But why can you not leave your property? First of all, if your property is burning and you need access to water, like, do some of you guys have access to water? Like,
You're not, the fire hydrants aren't working.
I heard that.
Water from the creeks.
You're getting water from the creeks?
Yep. That's our only water supply out here right now.
You're like doing third world, getting a bucket and like third world collecting water from the creeks.
They've got pumps. They've got pumps.
Oh, okay.
They've got water totes in the back of their trucks.
Okay.
So these guys went into action pretty quick to get going. They're locals. We've had to smuggle things in across the lake. The police are guarding the ports at the lake here, so we can't bring in supplies.
And when you say you can't bring in supplies, what does that mean? You can't bring in food?
No food, no nothing.
And what do the police say about that?
They're going to arrest you if you dock.
I thought that was crazy. I just thought that was just nuts. So joining me now is Brenda Jackson from the Shuswap area from Salista. Am I saying that right, or is it? It's Salista.
You got it right. You got it right.
Brenda, it's nice. Oh, it's nice to see your face. Last time we were just on the phone, and you were in all the mayhem. Brenda, tell me, give us all an update. It's been a few months since that's happened. What is going on in the Shuswap areas that were burned today?
Well, I guess some of the good highlights is we had electricity on in 3 weeks. They put over 400 poles in. We have high-speed internet now, which was really nice to have, but we didn't have before. And the rest of the recovery is unbelievable. There's no help. There's programs they try to implement with $50,000 to fund all of this area. All of it in $50,000. It's impossible. There's programs out there, but most of us don't qualify for it. And you're on your own. You've got to do everything yourself to get back on your feet. There's no support. A lot of people have left the area. Houses have, some of them have been cleaned up. Some of it's not cleaned up. Some trees are down, some trees aren't. It's a blackened, soot and mess all the way from the highway. Some areas are still green, which we're really grateful for, but it's not a very happy place. People have not recovered. The post-traumatic stress disorder with the recent fires that are out of control in other areas are making people concerned already and fearful. We know that from other people around us that are getting sprinkler systems already installed in their house and backup generators so that when they turn off the hydro for whatever reason and the water, that we'll have hopefully some backup supplies ourselves.
So, gosh, like based on what you're describing, it sounds barren, like a barren, burnt kind of wasteland. Is that
Well,
accurate or?
it is in some areas, like when you drive in. I know we were at a meeting about a month and a half ago to reestablish the area's tourism and that. And I guess when people will come back because they always come back to be, part of the area. We've got lots of areas still green where the provincial parks are. But when you come in and leave, it's so depressing to see everything all the way around black. It's
Hmm.
just not a happy scenery. So I don't know how it's going to go this year. We've got a lot of businesses gone. We still have a couple small businesses that weren't damaged, but even the local farmers, we've got not enough sunlight last year, so the crops never finished. And then with the
Hmm.
winter, apparently we've lost a huge amount of our vineyards that may not recuperate from the losses.
Oh gosh. So like Shuswap area, I've never really been up there, but would you describe it was mostly touristy?
There's a lot of tourists here. It's the playground for Alberta, which we always welcome them here. They're, great to have people come for the summer and make everything fun and exciting and different events. Otherwise, it's very quiet. Nothing much goes on out here.
But it sounds like even less now. Like you had your own bustling community or whatever, and then most of it is burnt and not built back up again. What is all
Yeah,
this talk about build back better, build back better? They collect so much tax money and they don't put it back in to Canada. Like, we come on. Like, are there not grants or things or funding or what is going on that would help you guys build back
we
better, as they say?
we were supposed to be launching in July, and we were trying to find grants and stuff then. And then after the fire, when you have electricity and internet, you can get back to work. We couldn't find anything out there that we could apply for. A lot of it was closed. A lot of it didn't apply to building back after a fire. There's been some tree planting out here, but mostly it's, if you took pictures of it still, it hasn't really changed. They've cut down some dead trees and removed it. That's about all that we've got changed. Permits, I
So,
hear, were
yeah.
canceled or put on hold. New permits, I have not heard if they've been going through. We see one area with a little bit of construction, but no building, cleanup, cement, like that. That's the only thing we see, nothing else.
So this is a big problem. So we need to write to all our MLAs or like put this video out and send it to people that can help, right? Because if a part of your town burns down, this is why we pay our taxes to invest back in us. So if this fire was not okay, first of all, that's what I'm trying to say inarticulately is that the government just should be there to help us. That's why they pay. That's why we pay them, right?
Well,
Or that's what the taxes are for.
you're
I just think now we're just getting our taxes
Well,
stolen.
one of the things that we found that because of the relaunch, we've used GoDaddy to mail out 2,100 different emails and to MLAs, MPs, and that. And there's a group that haven't even opened their emails of political. They haven't even opened it. I've asked myself to be invited to every township meeting for awareness of food security, and I got 3 answers out of every single community in British Columbia. One of them even had the audacity to tell me that they don't farm, they're not interested. And I wrote back and said, do you eat food?
Right.
And never heard back. So we can't even get meetings to bring up the awareness because in our area, people are unaware that we've had farmers here. We've got rid of a lot of the cattle. First of all, they got moved with the fire. And then secondly, we didn't have hay because of the burning and couldn't find hay. And then a lot of other farmers have just quit doing it. It's just not cost effective. We need to irrigate this year is as dry as, if not drier than last year. I mean, look at the Thompson River; it's pretty low here.
Yeah.
So the snow caps on the mountains didn't happen this winter. So people, like I said, are already in a panic to know what to do with the fires because if we look at what has been put in place in November 23, that if we stay behind as a property owner, you're fined $300,000 and a year in jail, and a corporation is $1 million fine. So I'm going to be a year in jail for that $300,000 fine, and then I get $1 million fine on top of it. That's just the way you treat farmers. I mean,
What
I'm
would
going
be
to
the
stay and
story? I didn't
protect my.
understand that part. What would the fines be for? Like if you stay? Is
If you
that
stay back and
yeah,
try to
yeah.
protect your property, your investment, your livestock, your livelihood.
Can, can you reflect on that for a little bit and remind people kind of what that was like just briefly, like last year, right? People were trying to save their horses. I remember you were. I'm going to actually link our video from last year in the description. But you know, people are trying to save their livestock. People are doing all kinds of things, but they were the ones in trouble. They're the ones that are going to be fined if they do what they think they need to do.
Well,
You guys live there. You have the experience. You know what to do.
the
Maybe,
loggers that are
yeah.
here full time, they're incredible. They know the whole canyon. They knew what was going on. We've had several meetings since this happened, so we are now all aware of what's going on out here. We had that fire, 14-kilometer backlight fire that didn't
Yeah,
work. They knew it didn't work,
the
but they
backburn,
still
yeah,
told us the next morning it was working, right? So
yeah,
we're all thinking everything's safe and fine, but you're not safe and fine because I don't know why they tell you that when we should have been evacuating first thing in the morning. But we had livestock. We were trying to get them out of here till 6 o'clock at night, and then we let them all loose. We couldn't do any more to help ourselves or anybody else around us. So when we came back, so we left for a couple of days thinking that we had lost everything. We were burnt out, and the neighbors called us Saturday morning, said, "Come back, you're fine." So on Monday we came back and we were terrified because the police were stopping people from coming in, and my daughter and I had a plan. I was going to let her drive, and if I had to detain them by doing something to stop them so she could get back to our animals, she was terrified, absolutely terrified, because it was dark, it was eerie, it was not normal. I mean, you could see fire all around us. It was a super long, uncomfortable time. And where's the support for us if we couldn't get groceries and staples and animal supplies? They gave permits out, then they canceled them, then they wouldn't entertain them. That we got them misinforming us constantly on tape for proof that they were doing that. Like, we weren't crazy. We were trying to do everything we could. So now
yeah.
that we're at this point where we've got no resources to move forward. We've gone back to the outside community, like in the old days, where you had a barn burning. And, can you guys please all come out and give us a hand to get that going again? We have to build back the food supply. We cannot just exclude all these communities that produce small amounts of food that all contribute to the food supply in our country.
That's right. I mean, the picture that I get is that when things happen here, it's really the people that rally together, and the government doesn't seem to give you much support. I am not trying to crap on the government, but everybody knows I am not a big fan of the things that I see, right? And even when I
Neither
was
are.
working at Global News, like I remember when the Abbotsford fire floods were happening and farmers had to deal with the livestock, and I would see people rally together. We would do stories on, the people rallying together, but I never saw aid. I never saw any help come in. And I would always think, well, what is the government doing? Why do we have you?
Well,
Why do we have you?
why do we have them? When they lit that fire Thursday night by noon hour, we didn't even know the auxiliary fighting staying at a different part of the area had left. And then we talked to them ourselves at the fire station here because some of them came back to help us. And it was kind of interesting because they said they were getting out of there long before the fire even started there. And then the other rumor was they all burnt down. That's why they left. And it's not even true. So Friday noon hour, we're talking no help in the area except the local guys till Wednesday because there was a rally in another town and people criticized the rally trying to bring into the information because it wasn't getting out there. We're being blocked in by police. There's not the looting going on. People are trying to survive. I mean, tell me, how are you going to loot if there's hydro lines are down, they're not working. There's no cell phones hardly at all working. People are running around everywhere. The roads are busier than ever in the back roads. We were told to stay off the main roads so that we weren't going to be arrested.
Mhm.
This was absolutely
When,
insane that we'd
when
be
was this?
arrested for helping.
When was this? Most recent? When was this? This was
So the fire was the 17th, the night. Then Friday was the 18th. We had no help there.
this is
So the
another
following
fire you're talking
Wednesday,
about, right? Like
yeah,
a recent fire. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
the 17th of August, right? So by the time that the Wednesday came, I don't know how many days that's the first time in the
Oh,
evening at 7 o'clock we had helicopters coming in, and we thought they were fanning the fires because they were right down on top of us.
oh, sorry. I thought I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about something that just occurred. We're still back in
We're still sorry. We're still back. We're still
yeah,
back
yeah,
dealing with what they did. I mean, you
yeah.
never got to
No,
hear the aftermath of what
no.
they didn't do for us, right?
That's so true. That's so true. That's why it's so good to talk to you because you just say it like it is. You're just saying it like it is.
Well,
Now,
you can't be angry at this point. We're just wore out. We're just worn
Yeah.
out because they have all these meetings and they're not helping anybody here. All they're worried about in my area is about incorporating the township, and that's the last thing on my mind is more bureaucracy in my area.
Right. You were telling me you've gone to some development meetings
Hmm.
hoping for some communication, some help. And what have you seen at these meetings go
Well,
on?
what we've seen, there was 18 at this particular meeting, and I'm glad to be invited and part of the group, but only 4 weren't part of the government or other agencies. So where was the community to come to this? They should have been packed wall to wall coming to it. And I know they're trying because we've done other committees trying to bring the area back, but those trees don't come back. And we don't have like Toronto does with Canada's Wonderland. We don't have any of those things. This is a quiet, peaceful lake community.
Mhm.
It's not a hustle and bustle area, and they're doing everything they can to try and bring business in here. But I don't see how because you have to have a lot of money to start, and we can't guarantee we're even going to have a summer of tourism this year. We don't know that.
Gosh, that's a bit frightening, like, yeah.
It is, and then we also see in other areas like in Oregon. I don't know if you've seen that they've shut all the farmer markets down. It's illegal to have a farmer's market, and the
That's
small
crazy because it's
farms.
really big out there. But anyway, go
It
ahead.
was, and then and they're shutting down the water. You're not allowed to water your gardens. You're not allowed to have an outdoor garden.
What is this about? It's about
Well,
what we think it is about, I think,
it's controlling the food supply, and they're doing a darn good job of it. They're
Yeah.
restricting water in different areas right now for farmers that have been there for so
Yes.
many generations. We know that. Every time you have one of those links in the supply chain have a crack, it's going to be detrimental because you can't just produce food in 5 minutes. Beef takes 5 years to get another animal off the ground. Chickens, all these things. It's not that we can. What are we going to do to feed the people? That's not a
Exactly,
fear
exactly.
mongering. It's a reality check. We've seen shelves empty through the pandemic, but people don't realize this is still. I'm a farmer. I've got 60 years of farming experience, and I've got relatives that come through the war and seen what that was like. Do people really understand? Not trying to scare people, not trying to get you to hoard like the toilet paper, but
Yeah,
realize even your small garden's going to help you if you can
right.
make one.
The thing is, like, a tree burns down, it doesn't grow back tomorrow. You lose a cow, you lose cattle, you don't have a replacement. It takes years to cultivate this, right? And that's why we need help. That's why we need
Well,
help bigger than us,
take 43 trillion acres or 43 million acres of forestry. That's a $2 trillion industry that we just blew up in smoke. And not only did we pollute the atmosphere by letting these fires go to control, it
Mhm,
damages crops. So whoever further on down to the east of us, like we had Mount St. Helens in 1980, we had
mhm.
no crops in Ontario even mature, none. So are we doing that again this year? Because none of our garden crops matured, none of them. So what happens next year?
What happens next year? What happens this year? These are all very good questions. I know, though, that you are involved in something. You have started a company, veritables.com or vertibles, pardon me. And tell me a little bit about that. This is dealing with mushrooms, right?
Right.
Tell me a little bit about it.
We're looking at premium edible mushrooms because we got so many acres of burnt substrate, which is great for making the mushrooms. But our goal is to go to the community and ask them for help to setting this up because I mean we've just ran out of steam doing all of this with the holdback from July, the fires, the smoke. I mean it depletes you incredibly financially. Going back to the community, asking them to come on board with us. We're setting up a second stage now. We did the prototype already. Want to go to the pilot and then grow. And the idea of doing this is that once we're established, we're doing all freeze dried except for fresh for the local markets, growing any type of mushrooms they want, so that we have taught people, we mentor people. And what we want to do is with these investors, go back to them in the end of 3 years and say, look, there's another town that wants to do this. You put your money back in, we're going to add some money, and then we're going to mentor it to make sure it gets off the ground. We need to be able to source our own food locally and not worry about getting it imported because there's no guarantees that we're even going to get shipments in, and we won't even know the quality coming in. And if there's
Oh,
more bans going on for whatever reason goes on in the world, we don't know. We want to make sure that we're protecting our BC families out here with food, especially for the children. We also know that when we tried to apply for grants and stuff that weren't available, there was a bit of a scandal going on with the NDP government. Doesn't help any of us. But the government announced, which I would love to see happen, $1 billion into the school program for children, which is insane because the money should go to the parents to feed their own kids, not for other people to have to supply the system.
Not for
If we
another
get
government-run program, right? But
Mhm.
anyway, go on. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're also looking at being part of the food banks, and as
Mhm.
well as being on the outreach for the homeless, supplying them with hot mushroom soup. That's what we're looking at doing.
I
It's
think
freeze dried
mushroom
and light.
soup is such a good idea. Let's talk more about it, but I just want to show people a little clip of an ad you have.
Of a lucrative industry. Keep watching to find out more. Why mushrooms? Why now? Why you? Our state of the art indoor facility shields us from unpredictable weather and water shortages, ensuring a steady, robust crop year round. This isn't just farming, it's smart, secure, and sustainable agriculture. Everyone needs to eat affordable, healthy food. Our product is fresh and freeze dried, making it zero waste and ensuring a long shelf life. Built in supply chains, we have an amazing and accessible network ready to purchase our mushrooms. From food banks and farmers markets to retail stores and online platforms, this ensures immediate market penetration and revenue generated from day one. Production capacity. In our first full year of production, we will be growing over 90,000 pounds of premium mushrooms, utilizing just 33% of our building capacity.
Hmm. You know what? You're not bad, like, as a spokesperson. You're
It's
doing a good job there.
it's a
Um,
passion. That
yeah.
took 3 days to get the words right. It's a
Oh,
passion.
yeah. Yeah.
Anita, I come from a family from overseas. My dad immigrated here from the war, and he told me horror stories that you just, as a kid, you never forget. And he always said to me, I hope you never and your family have to know what starvation is like he did. And
Right.
there are people starving here, even though there's tons of food. We have inequality between food distribution and wealth.
Yes, absolutely,
Eh,
absolutely, and we're hearing more and more that people going to the grocery store and they can't afford certain things, so you just buy the basic. So you're not really gonna get maybe a box of cookies, you're not gonna get ice cream, you just don't have it in the budget, and it's like, "Really? That's how we're living already?" L
And the
you know?
quality, you have to like, we shouldn't be eating processed food. We know that's very, very
Yeah,
bad with all the stuff they're putting in it. But we also know that all the farmers around here, we can't produce enough food. That's why they import, and people need to take responsibility a little bit for themselves if they can, or be part of market gardens, because um, what do you
yeah,
do when your kid's hungry? Like the story we were
yeah.
told with the Lithuanian guy, that is his grandmother, that the kids had nothing to eat and they were actually dying, and she was going to put them down with poison mushrooms, and she went out to the forest to grab them, what she thought was poison, and she cooked them and gave them to the kids, fully expecting the next day to be dead. And that was their full recovery. The mushrooms gave them health and vitality. And if we cannot buy and afford meat, we have mushrooms as almost a complete source of protein as well as amino acids and vitamins. And we are always short of vitamin D. So we know with adding a light, we can add 9 times the vitamin D. And then today, I've talked to a man in Peru about special medical mushrooms there, and we can add stuff to the substrate to improve and enhance the mushroom's ability to produce what we need for our bodies, a natural food that we can digest.
That's a crazy story that she was gonna poison her kids because it was that bad, but,
It was that bad.
that the I can't even think of how desperate you are when you are at that point, that you feel you have to poison your kids, they can't go on, you have to end their suffering. That's incredible,
Well,
and yet these mushrooms saved the family.
it did. And he said what they think is poison is, he says, isn't always poisonous. He's close to 80. So you know how long ago this was his mother's mother that did that. But there's another story. It's an even a bit worse story from my dad growing up
Mhm.
as an orphan in Europe and starving. And he said, you don't know starvation. He said, but I've seen what happens to people. He said a dog took a relief itself in the street, and the human were fighting over it to eat it.
Yeah, oh,
That's
that's
not what we do to humans. We
no.
need to take care of our family. We're all
Oh,
related, and we
that's a
need to
harsh
help.
well,
But
that's a harsh story, yeah,
it's a
yeah.
harsh story, but
Yeah.
it's happened in other
It's
countries
what
slowly
happened, like,
now.
your dad didn't make it up.
No,
That's what happened, yeah.
he told me that from a very young child, and it's such a gross, horrible story to think that
Mhm, mhm.
we can't help each other out. I mean, we need to.
Wow,
We need to
yeah,
help each other. We're at the point, a pivotal point, where either people are going to be contributing to getting their food and know a farmer, or you're going to go to the grocery store and not have a choice of what you get.
That's
And where
right.
does it come from?
Yeah, and it's very depressing. I mean, you think that story, I mean, that we don't know suffering. We
No,
don't
we
know
don't.
suffering yet. We still have items in the grocery store. And we don't want to get there, but you know what? So I know before we started that we didn't want to be too negative.
Negative.
But things are negative. But I think things are changing now. So many more people are waking up to what's going on, and we're not having it. So all this pressuring we've been doing, we're not having it. So hopefully we can, I don't know, see
Well,
some change. What do you think?
yeah, I do. That's why we've got some investors involved already. They see what we're doing and why we're doing it. We need more investors to come on board so we can get this going. We have proprietary equipment that people are not aware of that they can use, and we want to make that available. We're not looking at patenting. We're not looking at any of that stuff. We're looking at inspiring people to know if their family needs to eat, this is what they can do. And we should have these, like we have corner stores for selling alcohol and cigarettes, high priority, I think. Not. We should be having areas where people can go and pick up their fresh fruit and vegetables affordable. And, each time we harm a generation with nutrition, it's not helping our
Yeah.
humanity survive, is it?
No. Brenda, no, not at all. So I'm going to put links in the description. So everybody check out the description box, or if I put this on Facebook, which I think I will, I'll put links in the comments. People can go to vertibles.com or info@vertibles.com. I'll even link your YouTube video wherever I can so people can check it out because, Brenda, it was just great meeting you. I don't know how I met you, or you contacted me one day after you heard about me. And then we did the Shuswap thing, and you've just been this fighting woman that just keeps going and
I
going.
don't know how I found you on Rumble, but I followed you from the very beginning when you started. And it's nice that you're brave and you're confident and you're not afraid to talk to someone like me. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm trying to keep moving forward. The only thing I can do is feed people, show them how to do it, and be involved with me to learn what we need to do. We've got to teach. I mean, I'm not a spring chicken, and you keep losing us older people. Not that I'm old, I don't want to say that either, but where's the knowledge coming
Where's
from?
the knowledge going to come from, right?
You
Yeah, like
can't
my
learn this from
dad knew how to
textbooks.
garden. I don't really, but it's a skill. Look, yeah, we have to pass down this skill. So
And
Brent, yeah.
dedication. It's a life dedication. I mean, this is 7 days a week. How many people love your job that much that you do it 7 days a week? And I do it for flexible pay. I don't get insured that I'm making a salary of 100,000 a year. It's lean times like we've seen now,
Yeah.
and there's better times, but we're putting it back in our community. We want the Shuswap to be strong, and we want to have other businesses come here, and we're going to be making jobs. Like that's
Yes.
the incredible part. Not in our area, but we're going to be spreading out and making jobs, sustainable jobs. You know, dependable jobs that aren't fickle like the car industry or other things. People
Yeah.
always need to eat affordable food.
Absolutely. Brenda, that is awesome. I'm so glad that I finally got around to catching up with you. I've meant to do it for a long time. It was so great to talk to you. Well, we'll talk again. You let me know how things are going. You're very good at keeping in touch. And I want people to just check out what you're doing. I want people to think about what's going on in all these areas of Canada that need help.
Yes.
Canada first. Then we help the others. So
and this can be done. This can be done in the tundra. It can be done anywhere in the world. You can do this to feed people. You don't have to be reliant on anybody else but your community.
Amazing, Brenda, amazing. And you know what? People love mushrooms. I gotta say, people love all kinds of mushrooms. So this is
It's
amazing.
incredible.
Yeah, amazing. Brenda,
Thank
lovely,
you.
lovely to catch up with you. Everybody check out what she's doing. Everybody check out the links in the description. Thank you all so much for watching this broadcast today, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.